Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we dig into fascinating research and pull out the key insights for you. Today we're tackling something I think lots of us struggle with. That is, really getting good at a new language. Especially the speaking part, right? Getting that confidence, that flow. It's a journey. But the cool thing is how tech and new teaching ideas are always popping up, helping us learn better, maybe faster too. And today we're focusing specifically on a really neat study. It looks at how something called mobile flipped learning is helping high school kids get better at speaking Mandarin. We're going to unpack how education's kind of shifting.
Exactly. And this deep dive, it's based on a study led by Yang. Yang is the first author from the School of Sinology at Mali Long University. And for any of you wanting to, read the whole thing, the article is called Empowering Mandarin Speaking Skills, High School Students Journey with Mobile Flipped Learning. Okay. It was published in the International Journal of Instruction. That was April 2025, volume 18, number 2.
Great. So what's our mission today? What can you expect? We'll get into the main findings, obviously, but also the real benefits they saw. We'll also talk about the challenges because, nothing's perfect. And then think about what it all means for language teaching down the line. And maybe how it could apply to your own learning, too. Okay, let's unpack this. So things have really changed in how we learn lately, haven't they? The study mentions the post-pandemic world really blazed a new trail, as the phrase they use, for distance learning. Online teaching, it wasn't just a temporary thing. It feels like it's stuck around. It really shows why we need these new ways of teaching. They're not just nice-to-haves anymore. Think about like a student suddenly learning from home. Old methods maybe didn't work so well.
Yeah, precisely. And that big shift kind of opened the door for different teaching methods to become more popular. And within that, flipped learning has gotten a lot of attention, especially for languages. If you're not familiar, flipped learning basically flips the usual model. So instead of getting the lecture in class, students get that material, maybe videos, readings before class, on their own time. Then the actual class time. That's for interaction, for practice, for problem solving, using the language. It's about making that face-to-face time or, virtual face-to-face time count. And this study's approach, the mobile flipped learning, it builds on that trend, but it adds the mobile element using phones, tablets, which means students can do that pre-class learning, pretty much anywhere, anytime, bus, home, whenever. And then the class focuses hard on the speaking practice. What's really key here and why this study matters is that focus specifically on speaking Mandarin. That's often the biggest hurdle, isn't it? You can learn words, but actually saying them, that's different.
Oh, absolutely. That's a great point. We talk about global communication all the time. But why is focusing on speaking skills, like in this study, so critical right now? In our connected world, it's more than just knowing grammar or vocabulary lists, isn't it? It's about actually talking to people, business, travel, just connecting across cultures. Knowing the words isn't quite enough. You need to use them, right, to communicate. Okay, so that explains the why. But how do they actually test this? What did the study look like? What was the blueprint?
Good question. The methodology is key to trusting the results. Their aim was pretty specific. Check the impact of this mobile flipped learning on Mandarin speaking skills. They used Thai grade 12 students, and importantly, they also wanted to know what the students thought about it, their perceptions. Because a method can work technically, but if students hate using it, it won't stick. So the method itself. They had 38 secondary students, and they did this for 9 weeks, so not just a quick snapshot, a decent amount of time using this mobile flipped approach. And they measured progress carefully. There were pre-tests and post-tests to see the skill change numerically, plus questionnaires to get the students' feedback, their experiences, so you get the improvement and how the students felt.
Right. 9 weeks is a solid chunk of time. And you mentioned the results showed substantial improvements. That word substantial. What did that actually mean in practice? Like what improved?
Yeah, they were pretty clear on the specifics, which is helpful. They saw gains in, first, vocabulary. Makes sense. That's basic. Second, fluency. So speaking more smoothly, less stopping and starting, sounding more natural. Third, comprehension. Understanding what's being said so you can actually have a conversation. And fourth, this is interesting, pragmatic competence.
Pragmatic competence. Okay, that sounds a bit academic. Can you break that down? What's that in plain English?
Sure, yeah, it's a good question. It's really important, actually. Basically, it means using language appropriately for the situation. It's knowing what to say, how to say it, when to say it, depending on who you're talking to, the social context, the culture. Like knowing a formal greeting versus a casual hey for a friend. Or how to say no politely. It's not just about correct grammar, it's about using the language effectively in real social situations, like navigating a conversation.
Ah, okay. That makes total sense. It's like knowing the rules of the road versus actually driving smoothly. And you also said these improvements were especially strong for lower intermediate and upper intermediate students. Why does that detail matter?
It matters a lot because it tells educators and learners themselves who this might help most. It suggests that if you've got the basics down but you're kind of stuck, that intermediate plateau, this method could really give you a push. It seems particularly good at helping students move from just knowing about Mandarin to actually using it confidently, turning passive knowledge into active speaking skills.
And it wasn't just the test scores. The students generally liked it, right? They praised the flexibility and interactivity. I can see that. Being able to learn on your phone than having active stuff in class. Well, must feel way better than just memorizing.
Absolutely. That feedback lines up perfectly with what you'd expect from mobile learning in flipped classrooms. Learn when you want, where you want, then use class time for engaging practical activities. It makes it feel less passive, more active, and hopefully more fun.
Okay, so lots of positives. But, no system is perfect. It raises the question. What were the downsides? The challenges?
Right, and the study was good about mentioning those too. It gives a balanced picture. They found students sometimes struggled with self-discipline, and related to that, self-directed learning. When learning shifts more outside the classroom, you need to manage your own time, motivate yourself. That takes practice. It's a skill itself, really. And the other big one was technological barriers. Mobile learning sounds great, but you need a reliable device, good internet, and just being comfortable using the tech, the apps. Some students find that easy, others find it another thing to worry about.
Yeah, I think we can all relate to those. Self-discipline is hard, period. And tech issues, they pop up everywhere with online stuff, don't they? So these aren't like unique problems just for this method, which actually makes the findings kind of relevant more broadly.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that tech is great, but the human element, the practical stuff, always matters.
Exactly. And that leads directly to the study's main recommendation based on these challenges. They highlighted the need for bespoke support mechanisms. Bespoke, meaning tailored, personalized support. Because students were at different levels, had different struggles, you can't just have one solution for everyone. Maybe one student needs help with time management, another needs a tech walkthrough, another needs encouragement. That personalized help seems crucial to make this mobile flipped approach really work for everyone.
So bringing it all together, what's the big takeaway here? For language learning, maybe learning in general, the study seems pretty clear. Mobile flipped learning is facilitative in sharpening Mandarin speaking skills. That sounds quite definitive.
It does. It's a strong finding. But the researchers also pointed to where we need to learn more, future research ideas, which is great. It shows this is an ongoing process. For example, they suggest looking into how to reduce speaking anxiety. That's huge for language learners, right? Fear of making mistakes. How can this method help with that specifically? Also, how to better weave in cultural understanding. Language isn't just words, it's culture. And how to effectively scaffold that self-regulated learning we talked about, like giving students structures to help them learn how to manage their own learning. And finally, figuring out how to make it work best in different settings, high schools, universities, maybe adult learning. So yeah, it's a stepping stone, a really valuable one, but there's more to explore.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, mobile flipped learning looks really promising for improving speaking skills, especially Mandarin. It offers flexibility, interactivity, real pluses. But success really depends on giving learners the tailored, bespoke support, helping them over those hurdles like self-discipline or tech bumps. It's that mix of cool tech and human support.
Absolutely. And maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to consider. If we zoom out, how might these ideas, mobile flipped learning, yes, but especially that need for bespoke support, how might that change how we learn other complex things in this digital age? Not just languages. Think about your own learning, maybe a skill for work, a hobby. What's one area where a bit more personalized, tailored support could really help you break through?
That's a great question to ponder. We hope this discussion gave you some useful insights, maybe sparked some ideas for your own learning journey. Thanks so much for joining us on The Deep Dive.